Hey guys, Pastor Myers here, and I'm going to be taking some time to create some short videos on how to use the Phototheology GPT. Now, there's so many different features to this that it's going to take me a bunch of videos to actually do this and show you everything this thing can do. So these are going to be short, 5 to 10 minute videos. And today I'm going to show you the Phototheology Commentary. Yes, you heard that right, the Phototheology Commentary. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to be up in the corner. You're not going to, see, we're going to focus on the GPT. And I want you to check this out, guys. So let me share my screen. And you will see here the Phototheology app. So it's Phototheology GPT. All right. And let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and click on that first Phototheology right there. And it's going to take me into the GPT. And I'm just going to go ahead and type in hello. And what it's going to do is it's going to respond and give me several options, right? And the option that we're looking for is the commentary mode. So as you can see, I'm not going to read all of this, but what would you like to do today? Choose a mode like commentary, and that's what I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose the commentary mode, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to give me 3 options. Option 1 is a palace mode. Option 2 is the room mode. And option 3 is the principal mode. So we're just going to deal with the palace mode first, okay? And what the palace mode does is it'll take one verse, whatever verse you give it that you want a commentary on, and it's going to run that verse through every room of the Phototheology Palace. Every room. There are 38 rooms in the Phototheology Palace. One room I'm about to add, there's 37 that you see right now. But I just want to give you an example. So let me type in Palace mode, and then it's going to ask me what verse I want a commentary on. So let's let it load. And here you're going to see it's going to ask me what level and what language. So I've chosen Pro mode. You can put in, if you use this, it'll give you an option between basic mode, intermediate, advanced, and Pro. So I'm putting in Pro, and now it's going to ask me for a verse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it Genesis chapter 3:15. And what this is going to do is it's going to funnel Genesis 3:15 through every room of the palace. And then it's going to come back and give me a response, a commentary on this one verse through every room of the palace. It's going to kind of go through and then bring it all together. So this is all one verse, guys. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but let me just give you the synthesis. So you can see that it's taking you through. It's showing you several of the rooms. It's going through all the rooms, okay? It's going to go through all the rooms, but I'm just going to give you the synthesis, and it says here, Genesis 3:15 stands as the Bible's foundational gospel declaration, igniting the great controversy with a promise of divine intervention that threads through every room of the palace, revealing Christ as the ultimate seed who resolves humanity's fall. In the observation room, we see the raw structure, God's words to the serpent pivot from immediate curse to forward hope, imposing enmity not as mere strife, but as a protective barrier against total surrender to evil. This lexical depth in the DEFCON room clarified seed as the multifaceted literal in Christ's virgin's birth from Eve's line, collective in the church as Abraham's spiritual heirs, echoing Paul's use in Romans and Galatians to affirm believers' inclusion through faith. And it goes on. This is all commentary on one verse, okay? So I'm going to scroll down now, and I'm going to ask to change the mode. So now what I'm going to say is I'm going to say let's change to, and by the way, you can see that there are options here, right? Um, you can actually ask, hey, take this one sentence or this one paragraph and expand on this thought, or take this one room and expand on this room. But I'm going to say, let's change to room mode. So now we've moved from palace mode, where it takes the text through every room in the palace. And now we're going to room mode. And in room mode, it's going to ask me, what room do I want to go through first? In other words, let's analyze this verse again, but I now want to take it through, let's say, the theme room. So in the theme room, um, the theme room is, it's set up as the heaven ceiling, the gospel floor, the life of Christ wall, the great controversy wall, the time prophecy wall, and the sanctuary wall. So I think I got all those four: sanctuary, life of Christ, great controversy, and time prophecy wall. And what it's going to do is it's going to look at that text within the context of all of those themes. So I'm going to go ahead and push theme room, and let's see what it does. All right, so now you can see it is now commenting on this verse against the backdrop of all of these themes. So for example, let's just take the time prophecy wall. This seed promise initiates timelines like the 2300 days from Eden to 1844, in 1844's investigative judgment, where enmity culminates in judgment on all evil powers. So, wow, never thought about connecting Genesis 3:15 with the 2300-day prophecy before. Man, that might be a whole Bible study. That might be a whole sermon, right? There's a sanctuary wall. Enmity ties to atonement's blueprint. Christ as a true sacrifice bearing sin's penalty, while the scapegoat, Satan, bears final accountability, resolving the controversy in heaven's cleansing. Never thought to connect Genesis 3:15 with the Day of Atonement, with the scapegoat and the Lord's goal. Wow, never thought about that. Well, let me do a study on that. So again, you can see that's just one room. After we're done with that room, we can say, all right, let's go to another room. Let's go to the dimensions room. Now remember, in the dimensions room, there are 5 dimensions, right? There's a literal dimension, there's the Christ dimension, there's the me dimension, there's the church dimension, and then there's the heaven dimension. Let's have this commentary, this verse, go through the dimensions room, and let's see what it gives us. And now you can see it is giving us Genesis 3:15 in 5 different dimensions. 5 different dimensions. And let's just look at dimension 5. Ultimately, enmity resolves in the third heaven's new creation, where Satan's defeat is final, Revelation 20, verse 10. And the faithful seed dwell eternally with God, Revelation 21, verse 3 and 4. It reveals God's character, love that implants opposition to evil, transcending time into reflexive mastery of truth. Okay, so that's the 5 dimensions. Now we can go to another room, and you get the idea. You can go room by room through 38 different rooms, saying, give me commentary on this, expound on it, go deeper. Now, I'm gonna switch one more time. I'm gonna switch to principle mode. Principle mode. So what is the principle mode? In the principle mode, what you can now do, watch this. So remember, in each room, right? Like we said, there's in the 5 dimensions room, in the dimensions room, there's 5 dimensions. So each one of those dimensions represents a principle. You can say, hey, Phototheology GPT, I want you to give me commentary on this verse using, let's say, the 4th dimension. Let's say the Noahic cycle. Let's say let's say the sanctuary wall. Let's add in there the 400-year prophecy, children of Israel in captivity for 400 years. So I'm using a symbol here you'll note, and I'll explain that symbol another time. Each one of these principles has a symbol connected to it. So that one of the things you can do, in fact, the equation mode, and I'll talk about that another time. I'll make another video on that. The equation mode is where you're actually looking at the Bible through what looks like mathematical equations. And the GPT will give you an equation. Here's a story, and apply these symbols to that story. It's an equation, a problem that you get to work out. I'll talk about that another time. Okay, so we're going at the 400-year prophecy of the children of Israel in Egyptian captivity. And let's add one more. Let's go, let's say, in fact, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to say the Feast of Tabernacles. That's one of the principles. The feast room. How do I look at this verse in light of all 7 feasts? Or how do I look at this verse in light of one particular feast? So we're going to choose a Feast of Tabernacles. Let's hit enter and let's see what it does. All right, so here we go. So now what it does, it takes Genesis 3:15 and it's now applying fourth dimension, meaning how does it relate to the church? The Noahic cycle, meaning what from the story of Noah or the gospel cycle of Noah. And I don't have time to get into that right now. It's part of the phototheology principle. There are 8 cycles. There's the Adamic cycle. There's a Noahic cycle. There's the Mosaic cycle. So this is the Noahic cycle. It's going to take something from the Noahic cycle. It's going to use the sanctuary room. It's going to, and I could have actually said in the sanctuary room, use the altar of sacrifice specifically, or the 7-branch candlestick specifically. But I didn't do that. I'm just giving you an idea of how this works. Take the 400-year prophecy and the Feast of Tabernacles. And here's what it says. Applying these specified principles to Genesis 3:15 reveals the verse as a prophetic seed planted in Eden's soil, unfolding across time, sanctuary patterns, and redemptive cycles, ultimately dwelling with God. The fourth dimension principle as a prophetic timeline layer in the dimensions room frames enmity as a historic arc. God's imposed opposition traces canon-wide through the woman's seed from immediate post-fall conflict to the church's endurance and persecution, Daniel 7:25, culminating in the judgment that crushes Satan's head, Revelation 20, verse 10. Now remember, the fourth dimension is going to be how does this relate to the church, particularly at the end of time? And that's what you just saw there, right? And we can read on. It's going to talk about the Noahic cycle. The Noahic cycle from the cycles room extends its enmity initiates the Adamic fall, ripples into Noah's era where violence fills the earth. Revelation 6, verse 5, I'm sorry, Genesis 6, verse 5 through 11, as the serpent's seed multiplies evil. So now what it's just done is taken Genesis 3:15 and applied it to the Noahic cycle, highlighting that the whole world seemed to become Satan's seed at this time, with the exception of Noah, right? And his family. So you can see here that the variations of this commentary are endless. They're endless. I'm going to go back to the palace room. I'm going to show you one more thing. Let's go back to the palace mode, but this time choose a different path. So now what it's going to do is it's going to go back through the palace mode again, all 38 rooms, but this time it's going to choose a different path. In other words, the first time it went through the palace and it may have chosen the 1260-year prophecy out of the time zone, out of the time prophecies room, right? Out of the time prophecy wall. It may have chosen the Noahic cycle out of all 8 cycles. So in every room that it goes into, it has an option of choosing one of the principles in that room. So now it's going to go back and it's going to choose a different path, meaning different principles within the same room to produce a totally new commentary. So you guys, when I say that this commentary is dynamic, I mean it is dynamic. Let me show you again. I'm just going to scroll all the way up, you guys. And here's what I want you to see. All of this, starting from right here, all of this all of this is commentary on one verse. All right, y'all. Phototheology Phototheology GPT.com. Check it out. Peace, you guys.